After I do, what happens next? For Jerry, Yan and Tong Liya, the world thought their wedding was the final chapter in a long and emotional story. But as it turns out, it was only the beginning of something even deeper, more vulnerable, and more human than anyone could have imagined. The ceremony may have been secret, quiet, and hidden from the world, but the ripples it created were impossible to contain. Fans from across Asia, and even beyond, poured their emotions onto social media. Many called it the closure they had long been waiting for, a love story that had taken years of heartbreak, hesitation, and resilience to finally bloom. Others expressed disbelief, shocked that Jerry Yan, once known as the eternal bachelor of the Taiwanese entertainment industry, had finally settled down. But perhaps what makes this moment different is not just the fact that Jerry married, but that he chose Tong Liya, and together, they chose a path forward that feels raw and real. Behind the smiles of the wedding photos that eventually surfaced, there is a private reality. A new marriage isn't just about saying vows, it's about adjusting to each other's lives. For Jerry, this meant stepping into a role he had avoided for years, the role of husband, of protector, and of partner in every sense. For Tong Liya, it meant finding trust again after years of challenges, heartbreaks, and the scrutiny of public life. Both had lived through past relationships that left scars, yet somehow, those scars became the very thing that made them ready for each other. Jerry's past is well known. His romantic history was often marked by hesitancy and a fear of commitment. He was the one who loved deeply but never fully let go of his independence. Fans often joked that Jerry was married only to his career, to his image, to the aura of mystery he carried. But that was never the whole truth. Jerry carried wounds from relationships where timing was wrong, where distance, fame, and personal struggles created walls no one could climb. And then came Tong Liya, a woman who wasn't just beautiful, but resilient. Someone who understood the weight of carrying pain in public, someone who knew what it meant to rebuild herself after heartbreak, and someone who wasn't afraid of Jerry's guarded soul. After the wedding, the question on everyone's mind was simple: what now? How do two stars, each with careers spanning across borders and industries, navigate the simple yet complicated life of marriage? Rumors began swirling almost immediately. Some insiders claimed Jerry wanted to step back from constant filming, focusing instead on creating a home base with Tong Liya. Others whispered that Tong Liya, though still passionate about her craft, was considering projects more selectively, prioritizing balance and time with Jerry. Fans, naturally, dissected every interview, every public appearance, looking for clues to how this new chapter was unfolding. One thing is clear: Jerry and Tong Liya are not rushing to become the perfect couple the media might expect. They are building something different. Friends close to them describe a relationship rooted in quiet rituals, like cooking meals together, late-night walks when the world is asleep, and shared laughter over the small things no one else sees. For Jerry, who once lived with the constant weight of being watched, this is freedom. For Tong Liya, who had often been defined by others' expectations, this is healing. The industry, of course, has its own perspective. For some, Jerry and Tong Liya's union is more than just a personal milestone, it's a power move. Together, they embody not just nostalgia from Jerry's F4 days, but also modern artistry through Tong Liya's acclaimed performances. A couple like this holds influence not just in Taiwan or China, but across Asia. Producers and brands are already speculating about what it would mean if the two decided to collaborate professionally. Imagine a drama starring Jerry Yan and Tong Liya as leads, their real chemistry spilling onto the screen. Imagine a brand campaign that plays off their love story, blending romance and resilience. The possibilities are endless, but with power comes pressure. Some skeptics have already started questioning whether their marriage will withstand the spotlight. Others have suggested that Jerry, who has always been private, may find it difficult to merge his guarded world with Tong Liya's more open presence. Yet those who know them well say this marriage is not about appearances, it's about survival. About finding someone who understands the storms and still chooses to stay. Fans have been particularly emotional about Jerry's transformation. To see the man who once hesitated to fully commit now standing proudly beside Tong Liya is, for many, proof that love can happen at any stage of life. Social media has been flooded with comments like, "Jerry finally found his home," and Tong Liya deserves this happiness after everything. Others have pointed out that the timing feels almost cinematic, two people who seem to circle each other through years of separate struggles finally meeting in the middle. Of course, no beginning is without challenges. Friends of the couple admit that both Jerry and Tong Liya are learning to navigate married life in their own ways. Jerry, who had long lived independently, is adjusting to shared decisions, shared spaces, and shared futures. Tong Liya, who had once carried the burden of heartbreak so publicly, is learning to fully lean into a partnership built on trust. But rather than seeing these challenges as obstacles, they are embracing them as part of the journey. The whispers about their future have already begun. Will they start a family? Will Tong Liya step back from acting, or will Jerry make a grand return to television with her by his side? Some fans are convinced that their marriage is the setup for something even bigger, a joint project that would solidify their bond both on and off screen. Others believe they will retreat into a quieter life, choosing love over limelight. Whichever path they take, the fascination remains. As their story continues, one thing is undeniable: Jerry, Yan, and Tong Liya have given fans something rare, a love story that feels real, raw, and earned. After years of watching Jerry struggle with love, and after years of watching Tong Liya rise from her own heartbreak, seeing them together feels like witnessing two parallel stories finally meet at the same point. So what does "after I do" really mean for them? It means healing. It means growth. It means choosing each other in a world that doesn't make that choice easy. And most of all, it means showing fans and the industry alike that love isn't about the perfect moment, but about the courage to begin again, no matter how long it takes. For Jerry and Tong Liya, the wedding was not the end of the story. It was the beginning of one that promises to unfold with all the drama, romance, and depth of the K-dramas fans love, but with one difference: this time, it's real. And as fans watch closely, one question lingers: what comes next in this new beginning for Jerry, Yan, and Tong Liya? As the days turn into weeks after their wedding, Jerry, Yan, and Tong Liya found themselves in a space that many celebrities rarely get to experience: a calm after the storm. The frenzy of headlines and the endless chatter online slowly began to fade, but what remained was something far more meaningful: the start of their shared life together. Jerry, who for much of his career had carried the image of the untouchable idol, now seemed to wear his new role as a husband with quiet pride. Close friends revealed that he had softened, becoming more open, more grounded, and more willing to let his guard down. For years, Jerry was known for his reluctance to settle, often described as elusive when it came to matters of the heart. But with Tong Liya, there was no hesitation. He had chosen, and he had chosen fully. Tong Liya, on the other hand, was rediscovering her own rhythm. After years of navigating the pressures of her career and personal life, she seemed to carry herself with newfound confidence. Marriage did not mark the end of her independence. It was, instead, the beginning of something deeper. She was not stepping into Jerry's shadow, nor was Jerry stepping into hers. Together, they were carving out a space where two strong individuals could coexist, side by side, in balance. The entertainment industry, however, is never quiet for long. As their marriage settled into daily life, whispers began to swirl about what might come next. Would Tong Liya pause her acting career to focus on her new chapter, or would Jerry take a step back from the spotlight to prioritize family life? Neither of them made any formal announcements, but the couple's actions spoke volumes. Fans noticed that Jerry was often seen accompanying Tong Liya to events, something he rarely did in the past. At the same time, Tong Liya seemed to encourage Jerry to embrace opportunities he had previously turned down. It was as if they were pushing each other to grow, not apart, but together. This gave rise to another layer of fascination. For fans who had followed Jerry's journey from his early days in F4, this was not just about seeing him happy. It was about witnessing a transformation. Jerry was no longer the young idol grappling with fame. He was now a man who had fought his battles, weathered heartbreak, and finally found someone who matched his quiet resilience. With Tong Liya, he wasn't performing for the world. He was simply living. Meanwhile, the online fan communities remained as active as ever. Some fans, who had once been skeptical, were beginning to warm up to the idea that Jerry had finally found his partner in life. Posts flooded social media, celebrating the couple's public appearances together, while others speculated about when, or if, they might hear baby news. It was a natural progression in the eyes of many fans, though both Jerry and Tong Liya remained careful not to fuel speculation. They seemed intent on protecting their private life, drawing clear lines between what belonged to the public and what belonged solely to them. Behind the scenes, industry insiders noted that the marriage might also open up new possibilities professionally. Some hinted at the potential for a collaboration, perhaps even a joint project that would showcase their undeniable chemistry on screen. For years, Jerry and Tong Liya had been admired separately for their craft, but now the idea of seeing them work together was something fans could not stop talking about. If that ever became reality, it would be more than just entertainment. It would be a story of love and art colliding. But beneath all the speculation, what stood out most was the quiet simplicity of their new beginning. Their friends often shared glimpses of how they were settling into routines, cooking meals together, taking evening walks, and even traveling to places away from the public eye. For Jerry, who once admitted he struggled with the weight of loneliness despite his fame, these moments were priceless. For Tong Liya, who had long been admired for her strength and grace, this was a chance to embrace joy without compromise. Fans found themselves deeply moved by this side of the couple. It wasn't the glamour of red carpets or the headlines of breaking news. It was the everyday details, the tenderness, the patience, the laughter, that showed why their marriage felt different. Jerry and Tong Liya weren't trying to prove anything. They were simply building a life. And in doing so, they gave hope to many who believed love could still bloom even after years of uncertainty. As time moves forward, the question remains, how will this chapter shape their future? Will they retreat from the spotlight to focus on family, or will their partnership become a force that reshapes how celebrity marriages are seen in the industry? Whatever the case, one thing is clear, Jerry, Yan, and Tong Liya have already created something rare. In a world that thrives on spectacle and scandal, they have found a way to ground themselves in authenticity, in choice, and in love that is both quiet and profound. For fans, this is more than a love story. It is a reminder that sometimes the greatest beginnings come not with fanfare, but with the simple words, I do, followed by the courage to keep walking hand in hand, northwest matter where the road may lead.